Day 2 of posting a VizHub demo video every day until we reach 10K MRR. Hi, I'm Curran. I'm the founder of VizHub, a platform for creating data visualizations. I'd like to show you something I made recently in VizHub. Large language model API pricing versus web dev performance. And let me full screen this so you can really see it. This graphic shows on the x-axis completion cost per million tokens, the going rate per LLM on OpenRouter at the moment. The y-axis is the web dev score from the LM Arena web dev leaderboard. So what I did is I copied all this text, used LLMs to format it as CSV and join on the OpenRouter IDs. And for the costs, it's just pulling from the OpenRouter API endpoint that lists the costs for all the models. And I filtered it down to just show the ones that actually rank on the leaderboard. My motivation for doing this is to try to figure out the best combination of LLMs to use in VizHub for the AI code editing. The idea is that there's a try harder button where at first it tries with a weak LLM relatively, and then escalates to a more powerful LLM a couple of times until you get the desired result. So let's look at Anthropic. When I hover on the color legend here, it highlights the points on the plot that match. You can see there's Claude 3.5 Haiku, there's Claude Sonnet 4.5, and I really wanted to see Claude 4.5 Haiku where that maps out on here, but I don't think they have that data yet, because that's what's currently in use in VizHub, and it works pretty well as the first tier. And then it escalates to Claude Sonnet. And one thing that really stands out is that Claude Opus is, in my opinion, overpriced. I mean, look at that. It's an order of magnitude more pricey than, let's say, GPT-5 from OpenAI. That's the only one that ranks on this list for some reason. They have a lot of other models. And again, it comes back to data quality. Ideally, we would get more models on the leaderboard, but I think this is a good sampling. But anyway, my point was you get about the same performance between GPT-5 and Claude Opus 4, according to this set of scoring. So in terms of bang for your buck, you'd want to go for GPT-5 any day over Opus. Unless by some magic, Opus is built into your Claude subscription. And then there's a new kid on the block. Look at this, Google Gemini 2.5 here on the bottom. And I thought that was really good. But then Gemini 3 is top of the charts, like way beyond even Claude Sonnet 4.5, which I've been using for, since it came out as my main workhorse. And I thought this was as good as it would get, And then I put this line of best fit in here, and I excluded Opus from this calculation, but I somehow wanted to make a divide where, we have the top tier models on the right, and then we have the lower cost models. So we have like Quencoder, GLM, Kimi K2. These are all of those open weight models, and they perform pretty well. I'm actually surprised to see Qwen 3 Coder here above Gemini 2.5 Pro. Kind of surprising. And I thought Grok Code was like really, really good, but according to this benchmark, it sort of comes in at the bottom. Grok 4 fast, Grok Code fast. And when I first made this, I wanted to compare Claude to OpenAI GPT-5. And so that's why I added these little subtle lines going across the background so you can sort of see how things line up. So that's the finished product. Let me show you the revision history. VizHub has a revision history feature that takes screenshots of each revision. And so you can see how it started and how it evolved. I'll just take you through some of these. This is how it started. This is the thing I made like a year ago. with similar data. And then I pulled in the new data. It was broken for a couple of revisions, and then we arrived at this, which is super dense, like there's too many items. And then I wanted to filter it down, and this is filtered. The AI filtered by code in the name, like codex or coder, which was a kind of a funny idea, but it's not really what I was going for. So you can see I undid that and then moved in a different direction. And eventually here I arrived at the filtered set where it's just price versus model colored by provider. And then made the transition to a scatter plot and see the axis is all messed up. But then you can see after a couple of revisions, things get cleaned up. The labels got changed so that they're the model names. And a couple more iterations, just playing with the lines. And then I got it to a point where I was fairly happy with it, this one here. And I'm like, okay, the meat of it is pretty much done. It has to be tweaked, but it's basically a readable chart. And then at this point, I gave it a prompt like something like make it super classy and polished looking and use a custom font. And you can see these two different results. This one, I believe, is from Claude Haiku. And I wanted to see what it would look like with Claude Sonnet. And that's what this looks like. So Claude Sonnet added these glowing effects. This is after I had nailed down the hovering interaction. And then from here on out, it's a lot of kind of refactoring and tweaking just to get to this point here where it looks fairly polished. All in all, this was maybe a 1-hour session of work with AI-assisted coding. And you can use VizHub to do similar kind of graphics. Just drop your data in, tell it to adapt it to your data, and iterate rapid fire. So go try VizHub today and let me know if you have any feedback or use cases or things that you'd like to see.